Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Today gives me the opportunity to show you some of the things that we have at Inspirational Labels. These are three almost identical pieces of equipment. They did have a forerunner which was called the HT200, and just as a change, SATO described these as TH208s. So they swapped the number. Not very original, but there you are. These particular ones are driven by software. So we can suck various things into these machines and then disconnect it and then use it as a completely separate unit if you wish. So the way these are set up are similar but not the same. This particular one here, for instance, this has been done for a butcher in York. This gentleman wants a label whereby he can produce either a large or a small label depending on the product that he's got. Just select whichever one they want, make it nice and simple so that operators can put into there very quickly their information. You'll notice that this particular material has something special inside. The ink is already there, so you don't need a cartridge, you don't need anything special. It's already inside the material. It's a direct thermal material. This is like a sandwich. So basically, as the label moves across the head, it gets warmed up and it produces that print. These two are exactly the same, but they're set up slightly different. This particular one here is a school one. They only want simple information. So we've got here a student and staff ticket. Again, it's a question of selecting the number, selecting the quantity, producing the label. This would then go on every product that they have. So that the cases of children eating something they shouldn't eat obviously are reduced because they know exactly what that particular product is, what that particular product's best before date is, and they know for a fact that the price they're going to pay is a less, student price there is £95, staff price is £1.14. So there's a slight change in price, and that's what they wanted. They wanted to have the ability to label something very stringently, if you like, and they also wanted to have the price and possibly best before on there as well, which they've got at the bottom.
The colour highlights, are those pre-printed onto the paper?
They are.
It's not handled by a machine?
No, the machine doesn't do that. It just prints in black. Black only, because the sandwich is only in black on this particular setup. You can have another sandwich of red in there, so you can have a was and now type label, where you have a was price in black and a now in red perhaps, or something like that. That's what Debenhams wanted, but they finished up as actually a black print in Debenhams. Debenhams, interestingly enough, found that because they were handwriting tickets, people would get to the end of the queue, they'd get up to the front there, they'd have a sale item with them, a shirt or something like that, get to right up the front of the queue. The ticket they'd read was 20 quid. In actual fact, it was £70. So they were embarrassed, problems at the front of the queue, people were stacking up behind, and they realised that by changing from a handwritten ticket to a printed ticket was the way to go. So every store in Debenhams decided to take one of these machines. It was the same at another book company called Remainers. They had problems printing on their tickets. They had problems loading stuff onto their shop floor because their storehouse was very small. So every time they had a loading of new books, they took the machine to the problem. The printer went to the problem rather than the other way around. So they could load, print, stick the label on, put the book on the shelf, no problem whatsoever. This particular one here, this one is an Oscars machine, and basically it's a similar sort of thing here, where you select a number, produce, because you've got a lot of information in here, it takes slightly longer, and produce the number of tickets as you want. Now, as you can see on here, you have a whole table of different things, and you have all the allergens highlighted. So this means it doesn't matter what they produce, everything has the same standard of allergen highlight. So if you've got a problem with a particular thing, i.e. if you can't eat wheat, or if you've got a milk problem or whatever, it's highlighted on the ticket. Every single piece of food they sell gets that ticket. There is a reason. They sold a baguette to a person in the company, and they were bad. They were really quite bad. What that particular person was, he was a director of the company. So obviously they made a bit of a mistake there. So within days, they got one of these.
Unsuccessfully.
And that was the reason, simply because they knew for a fact that whatever they were producing would be okay. The way it works, it takes a database of stuff and it puts that database into the machine. The machine then compares the database of information to the database of allergens, compares the two, and whatever is there is highlighted and emboldened. So it doesn't matter what they've got, they can always be right with that. So,
about this label then, is that pre-printed, the pink?
yes, that particular label comes as a pre-printed roll, so you can have whatever you want on there.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, brilliant.
So it means that you just simply make that label say whatever you want to say on the front, and then you drop the thing in here. There's nothing difficult about it. It's just a clamshell design, so you can open it very simply. It's very reliable. That's probably the top thing for lots of people, because every time they go to a machine, they need to print every single time. If it's going to work, it's got to work every day. It's got to work every day, so many hours. If you had the particular one with a battery, which is, as it happens, this one, you can unplug and still work. As you can see, the screen is still lit. You can then take whatever one you want, and it still produces things. So we can take that round to people. You can show them various things that you want to show them, and it becomes a nice tool, because you know for a fact this is going to work for 6 hours. Straight off, no problem whatsoever. All the time you're plugged in, you're charging, so every time you come to that, it's always going to be A-OK. So each one of these can be pre-programmed exactly as you want. It's got as much memory in it inside it, I reckon, to send a man to the moon, because the processing power of these things now is quite phenomenal. It's only a little thing, and when I first saw this, I must admit, I thought, it ain't going to be a lot of good. It's only little, but there's lots of things in short packages, you know. And so there's always an exception to the rule. So we can make this do whatever you want it to do, basically. If you wanted it to produce barcode labels day after day, day after day, we've got these in place all over the country just doing that. They don't do anything else.
All the examples there
Yep.
appear to be the same size label. Is that a default, or could you produce short labels?
Yep. This particular one here, this is the type that this particular butcher wanted for another thing that he had. So this one is a 49 by 103 label, which, as you say, is a standard type thing. But they also come in various other standard sizes. So this one is a little one.
Right.
The reason for the black mark on the back is because the actual machine is looking for that black mark to censor itself, to know where the heck it is. So if you go and put this particular label in, whoops, Daisy. Select the small, select the number, select the quantity. With any luck, it'll work. Sees the black mark, prints out the label. And you'd expect that day after day after day after day. It's that sort of piece of kit.
So I can't remember which supermarket it was, but I remember not very long ago going and buying some wet fish at the counter, and it printed a little recipe on, you know,
Yes,
how to cook a place or whatever
yeah.
it was. That would be that sort of thing.
it can indeed, yeah. Because you could store that in the machine, and you'd have a table again, and it would look at the table and say, this is the particular fish, this is the recipe for that particular fish, and you could print it out, no problem at all. You can do a lot of clever things with this. There's not many things that we haven't, well, not in my experience anyway, that things that customers have asked for that we haven't been able to do. Because it means that very often these are fairly standard by comparison. But lots of industrial uses, for instance, there's a couple of companies that make parts for JLR, and we know for a fact that we've had to change things slightly because they wanted a label that would give extra information and put another barcode on that particular thing, you know. So we can produce in each one of those any barcode type that you want, right across the world. It doesn't matter. So you can send stuff from here to America and know for a fact that everything that they read over there is exactly the same as they expected. So it's always okay. Anything that you want to do with these in terms of changes, we can do. The software guys that write the programs for these they really are very good indeed. I don't write the software for this.
Well, that's a good.
So it's a good sign, isn't it? But what I can say to you is, I can guarantee these. So anybody that wants one of these, we know for a fact it's great for me, because I know for a fact that when I put it in, it's always going to be okay. It's going to be working fine.
And do people buy them or rent them? Or?
They buy them mostly, yes. I've got to go to a gentleman in Bruntingthorpe this morning who's looking at one of these in a cafe. You know the gentleman very well. Yeah, Neil Green.
Oh,
Yeah. He's got one of these in his place in Lutterworth, and he's got another one in Bruntingthorpe. But this is ideal for that.
Shall I explain how we do it? So we have a book and each item is numbered. So white sandwiches, brown sandwiches, batons, everything has a number. We then input the number into the machine and then print off exactly how many we want, say 50 batons. They're then printed. They come out blank. We actually have to write on the label, because of the variety of sandwiches that we do, from a plain chicken to a BLT, everything has to be, and you can't, Roger couldn't be able to plumb in, shall we say, the amount of varieties of sandwiches. So we actually do handwrite them. But we have, our sandwiches go into vending machines. We haven't had to do, this ingredient
No,
is massive. The allergy, we've gone into it at length.
we
haven't
have.
As we're selling on site, we are able not to print the ingredients off. We have a book at the side of the vending machine that has all the allergies within it, and that's how we get away. Otherwise, it's just an absolute minefield, because, for example, you buy a tub of mayonnaise from the cash and carry of their own make, you might not get that the following week, and then you might have to buy another make which has got totally different ingredients in. So it's I can't begin to tell you where to start with it. So that's how we get away with it, with and that's totally all
Yeah.
okayed by.
It's interesting because we're moving into a situation now with Brexit. Now, are we going to adhere to all the rules that the EU has?
It is European, isn't it? Yeah.
That's what the
Interesting,
was
isn't it?
Wasn't it? Transferring all the EU laws.
That's what they reckon, don't they? So it looks like we are going to stay within that, you know.
Yeah.
So these sorts of things will still be appertaining to that. It's a good thing, really, when you think about people that have a problem. That schoolboy that had a problem, they didn't know what to do with his inhaler thing that he had.
Oh, that's
Do you remember?
right. Yes, yes, yes.
But you could see how it could really affect people if they couldn't become aware of it quick enough. And these sorts of things give you an idea of what's happening within the food.
Do they print off, you know, when we print ours off, do they print off the two blank ones straight off?
Did you notice there wasn't any blank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
these are the new machines.
Because our two are wasted,
That's right.
and when you're doing the quantity of hundreds and hundreds,
You've got two that are in between.
We have two, but
You
we
can
use
still
those.
set these so that they've got a jagged edge a jagged mark across to show the difference between varieties if you're doing a whole batch of them.
Right,
But yes, and you can see they don't, do they?
no,
That's the way they've been set, you see,
Yeah.
because it's a new machine. With the new machine, we can do a lot more. The previous one, we couldn't lay in as
no,
much.
we couldn't, could we?
but with
It's all right,
this,
'cause they do actually
this
get
is what you want.
used, yeah.
That one there.
Did you see? Did you see what I did there?
These machines are.
Any more questions at all? So basic means that if you come across somebody that's doing something that they need an outside or an inside label, it doesn't really matter. We can produce the label for it. These tend to go on, this lot is all sandwich and food related, but these tend to go on things that are going inside a box, if you like, whereas the outer box ones would be on a much bigger machine, which I'll bring the next time we do one of these, and that will give you an idea of the outdoor, of the outside.
Sticky is very sticky. I mean,
It is.
You know, sometimes you get the sticky and it doesn't adhere, but
These are the ones, yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want to
certainly
get it wrong. You don't want to get it wrong then.
No.
It's a shame
No,
it's not here then, really.
you can actually get various stickies even on this, but this is a permanent adhesive.
Very good.
So when it's on, and it goes down to minus 25. So you know for a fact it's going to be okay in a freezer or a chiller or whatever. So these are very good. They've been excellent, these labels, actually.
There's a general question on stickiness of labels.
Yes.
My partner Kathy is a beekeeper,
Okay.
and if you sell your honey at a local village show or whatever, it has to have certain information on that goes on the label.
Yep.
Yeah. And when she first started, she got a standard label design and bought whatever the minimum was, which was quite a big roll.
Yes.
She used the first 50, and then next season,
Something
all
different.
the sticky had gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got labels. This is no word of a lie. I've got, and Sheila will tell you because she does my books and she sees them up there on the blooming shelf forever. I've got a set of labels that are 10 years old. And I can't get rid of the buggers because there's not enough different types of things that we want to print on them. I'm fed up of seeing them. They're an outdoor type of adhesive. You cannot fault them.
Really?
They're still as good
We've
now.
got some rolls in the store.
10 years
Good.
old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, from the coffee shop.
It's how you keep things.
Yeah.
If you kept it in a damp environment, it would deteriorate straight away.
Right.
Yeah, very quickly. If you keep it in a warmish room,
Yeah.
no problem at all. You can keep them in a. I mean, I've got a lady who keeps hers in a cupboard upstairs in a room.
Well, I think that's
know.
where Kathy kept hers, but
It should. If it's any good, everything should be fine. So the labels I sell, I'll guarantee that won't
You can
happen.
see some labels.
So she
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that, honey.
Yeah, we can do that
Does
for
she?
you.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. I should just say, obviously, there's an upsurge now in other techniques of doing things. The inkjet is becoming more prevalent. So there's more smaller machines. There's a machine that is very similar to this. There's actually an inkjet material, which is just as good as this stuff in terms of its longevity or whatever. And there's going to be some changes as we go along into the next few years. There's no doubt about that, because change is happening much faster now than ever before. And once industry start, then it starts to really move. You know, if they
I'm guessing the advantage is that those over an inkjet, there's no ink.
no, there's no ink. This is the beauty of lots. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
butchers love
that's
these
about that.
because there's no aggravation. They haven't got mess everywhere.
And then you just change the roll rather than having to get ink out. And
That's right. Yeah, and they're simple to actually load. It's just an open and drop in. Where you've got sometimes with the machine, you've got a convoluted paper path. You haven't got that with these. They've been thought out very cleverly.
they're nice, because they're nice, neat and compact.
They use them in the hospitals because the case is an antimicrobial case, and it means you can't transfer the germs. So it's nice and clean. Yeah. And it was designed for that. That material is that type of material. So yeah, it's a nice bit of kit. I can recommend it.
Wipes, the proper wipes, because of course with food,
Yes.
you know, we're always,
Yeah.
but the wipes
Yeah.
come up. Comes
It's
up
because it's so shiny that it doesn't adhere to anything, and it stops anything like that happening. They love them in the hospitals, in the food places in hospitals. McDonald's have got one of these in every shop they've got. Well, that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. But it's something that will stand the test of time, that's for sure. Any more questions at all? Nope. I think you've done it to death. Thank you.